Bull, I want some real answers. What are we doing with Steven Kwan?
There is no great answer, unfortunately, but I think when everybody gets healthy, if he hasn't turned it around, like right now you have so many holes in the lineup, what are you going to do? You got to keep seeing if he can turn it around.
Oh, now he missed his holes in the lineup.
I didn't oh my God. What am I going to do with you guys? Steven Kwan is the worst OPS of any qualified player in baseball. So he's Austin Hedges right now. Austin Hedges isn't even Austin Hedges. He's been a serviceable player this year, which is crazy.
I know where you're going, and I agree with you. So finish.
Yeah. So, but once everybody comes back, if you bring up Engel and Martinez and DeLauder, because Martinez and DeLauder might be back in the next week or two. If he hasn't turned it around by then, he's got to be on the bench or a part-time player at best.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's he's obviously a very good left fielder, but I can't play a guy for being a very good left fielder. That doesn't have much value.
When they put out the lineup yesterday, and knowing there's no Jose, no DeLauder, no Angel Martinez, facing a lefty, and they decide Stuart Fairchild and Petey Halpin are better options at the plate than you.
Yeah.
I don't know where you go from there.
I mean, he's already not.
I texted Ant because Ant was like, I don't know how much can we say on Quan, he stinks. And I was like, well, we've gotten to a point where it is beyond stinking. And I wanted to ask you guys, not just sending him to the could he benefit from a stint in the minors? Genuinely, when everyone's healthy.
Does he?
I don't know what the options are.
He's got options.
Yeah, he must.
For sure.
I assume he does have options, and I don't know how frequent it would be to send a guy of his stature and resume.
I mean, it's unusual, but not unprecedented.
But he needs something.
Yeah.
He needs. This is a guy that we had a discussion about last year. Could he hit 400? He may not hit 200 this year.
We did not have a legit conversation.
No,
about him
I understand. It was Tyvus. I get that.
Tyvus was talking crazy.
I mean, look at this.
I mean, it's hideous.
Look at this.
You know, baseball's a weird sport. Sometimes guys just inexplicably don't play well.
And I think a lot of it, on almost every case, is mental.
100%. And he's
one of the most
talked
mental
about
sports you can
some
play.
things he's dealt with mentally in the past. And
could the contract be weighing on him that much?
He's not a free agent at the end of the year.
I know, but he didn't get the extension he wanted.
Well, that
was his choice.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying,
was his choice. What do you mean extension he wanted? Like,
well, he didn't get the numbers he wanted, so he didn't sign.
But he was never going to. What numbers did he want? I
don't know the answer.
He's a singles hitter.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Plays left field.
Could that be a reason that his head isn't as
I don't know
locked in as it needs to be at this point?
I don't know that it's locked in. I think he's in his own way. I think he's too locked in a way. He's stressing about every at bat. Probably.
It's yes. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
And MLB guys can go like this. They can have bad years. This is not a bad year.
This is extreme.
This is, you don't hardly ever see a guy at his age. Not that he's fully accomplished in MLB, but he was having a fine career. He's a good player. I don't recall a player falling off to this extent without an injury being involved.
I'll give you one. Let me give you the exact numbers.
I mean, Benintendi wasn't this bad.
I don't know about that. How about Cody Bellinger? Now, different type of player.
Bellinger was MVP to pretty terrible for 2-3 years.
He went from MVP to DFA'd. But the Dodgers, it's not like they're worried about money.
But, I mean, numbers like this?
Okay, so this happened twice. So in 2019...
Was that his MVP year?
Bellinger was the MVP. It was his third year in the league, right?
Yeah.
The next year was...
Will you give us his numbers as an MVP?
He had 1,035 OPS.
Okay.
The next year was COVID year.
Yep.
And so he didn't play that much.
Yeah, dismissed that.
He was okay. The year after that, so his next full season, after being the MVP of the league, he had a WAR of 8.7 in 2019. He had an OPS over 1,000. He had an on-base over 400. He had 47 homers and 115 ribbies. In 2021, he missed time that year.
So injury did play a factor.
He played 95 games, had a negative 1.6 WAR.
Yeah.
He had an OPS of 542.
higher than Kwan, but point taken.
No,
Still awful.
Yeah.
I don't think it's higher than
the year after that, in 2022, his last year with the Dodgers, he was not hurt. He played 144 games. He had a 1.3 WAR. He had a 654 OPS, a 210 batting average, a 265 on base.
We would kill for a 6 OPS for Steven Kwan right now.
He's a
different player.
But yes.
This is equivalent. He's a power. He went from an MVP to being horrible for essentially 3 years, including COVID. He wasn't horrible the COVID year. He was mediocre. And then he was horrible for 2 years. And then he got DFA'd by the Dodgers, got picked up by the Cubs.
He was awesome.
Had a very good first year with the Cubs. Then he stunk again. Stunk is strong. He was mediocre his second year with the Cubs. Had a decent first year with the Yankees. He's been better this year, good, but not Hall of Fame level. Like, since the MVP year, he's been either bad or pretty good, mostly. But he hasn't been back. But for a couple of years, he was horrible.
Yeah.
But it's rare.
It's very rare.
And maybe, who knows, maybe he was still dealing, and maybe Kwan is dealing with some sort of injury we don't know about either. But he looks so lost at the plate. I mean, he is chasing pitches
He never
that
used
he
to.
would have never chased in the past. To me, this is all about the mental, as you started the conversation with, Jason.
There's no great answer.
So yeah, I think honestly I would consider sending him to the minors.
Yeah, when they get healthy.
Yeah,
Kind of need him right now.
I mean, yeah, he hasn't been in the league long enough that he could refuse an assignment.
No,
and he has options. So yeah, when Martinez, I mean, I'd call up Engel and send him down right now. Maybe not. I'd send whatever. But if when Martinez and DeLauder are back, I would, unless he's turned it around.
I mean, we're getting to the All-Star break here.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
We're at
to
the halfway point. The Guardians play, 77 games?
Yeah. It's right around the halfway
we're basically at the halfway. By the end of this week, we're at the halfway point of the season.
I just, we talked about it earlier.
Games they play? Yeah. 70, 79. We're past that. We're almost 2 games away from the halfway point.
They played a game last night with no Jose, no Chase DeLauder, and no Angel Martinez, and they still decided Steven Kwan wasn't a bat they needed in the lineup.
Right.
And they opted for Stuart Fairchild and Petey Halpin, and I don't know enough about either of those two to say with any confidence that they're worse than Steven Kwan, but I also can't say with any confidence they're better than Steven Kwan. If the Guardians and Steven Vogt don't trust him over those guys, it tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah.
And that is that they have no faith in him whatsoever at the moment, and
especially against left.
He came in late, but he did not start the game yesterday.
Okay.
No, he didn't start. Yeah, he came in pinch hit later in the game. But if they don't have faith in him in that situation with those guys out, how are you going to have faith in him when they have more options and actual guys to put in the lineup?
And that's why,
and maybe
it's extreme.
Maybe a trip to the minors.
I think a trip to the minors is not out of the question.
The fact that you don't dismiss that completely.
Yeah.
Remember when Jay said he would send Clase down to the minors last year?
I thought that was nuts.
And you guys like that's
because that was based on a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that was nuts.
And I was like, I was Ant on the test.
Now we know it's just send him to the bookie.
But I was talking to Ant yesterday. Like, I think this is
it's
I'm
reasonable.
gonna and the fact that you guys haven't dismissed
I'm not sure they would actually do it, but it's a reasonable conversation. And we're talking about half a season. They might.
I don't think that's outrageous.
No, I don't think it's outrageous, especially once Martinez and DeLauder come back, which I don't know. I mean, I think DeLauder, I read something. I don't remember exactly what he was doing, but he was doing some work.
I don't think DeLauder will be out long.
No, it doesn't seem like it will be. And the Martinez injury wasn't super serious either. So I would think both would be back. I mean, you're 3 weeks from the All-Star break. At the very least, those guys will be back after the All-Star break. Yeah. At the very least. I think they're probably a decent chance they'll be back before that.
Yeah.
Guardians and White Sox series continues 7:40 Eastern tonight.
Yeah, Messick on the book,
There you go. Parker Messick pitching tonight. And, of course, this Friday, the Guardians back on WKYC as they take on the Seattle Mariners returning from their long road trip. That's my sister's birthday.
Happy birthday,
to my sister. 7 p.m. on this Friday. Watch it on WKYC. Channel 3, Guardians and the Mariners. I still don't love the Guardians logo. I'm totally on board now with Guardians. I'm used to the name. I like the name. I still don't like the logo.
I don't either.
I still love it.
I don't.
You do?
Yeah, it's fun. Baseball with the letters is usually kind of boring. I think that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Do you like the Mariners logo?
It's okay.
It's what is it supposed to be?
It's a ship.
It's a compass.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It's a compass, right?
Yeah.